Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to talk about insecurities.
And then you can decide whether you're going to come or not.
Okay, I guess we could do that.
Okay, have you been here before, ma'am?
I have not. Okay, perfect. And then, what's like the additional hold on top of like the room rate and stuff like that?
It's $50 per day.
Okay, 50 per day. And then is there like a resort fee on property?
Yes, there is. Did you need to know the
Yeah,
price?
yeah, if you know how much it is.
I believe it's 45. Let me verify that.
Or-
39.
Okay, perfect.
39 daily.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Anything else I can assist you with?
No, that was it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a wonderful day, ma'am.
You too.
Goodbye.
Bye. Did she just call me ma'am and sir? Now, with insecurities, as you can tell by the clips that I gave you, right, I called to make an appointment, and I was called ma'am, pretty frequently. And this actually happens to me all the time. I actually joke with my coworkers. I work at a hotel, so I work at front desk. So I tell my coworkers, I'm like, especially when I work with the girls, I'm like, are you ready? And they're like, for what? And I'm like, when you see a guest walk by with their head down and I say good evening, they're going to look up. They're going to see me, and they're going to see a girl, and they're going to look at you and say hi. And then they laugh at me. And they're like, Vinny, that's not going to happen. And it happens like all the time. And then when they start to see it happening, they're like, whoa, like that's kind of weird. Like, and then they usually say something like, oh, you don't sound like a girl to me. So the reason for the video today is clearly that is something that I think most people, if they sounded like the opposite sex, it's something that would affect them, right? And it would be an insecurity, so to speak, right? It would be something that you would say to yourself, like, man, I don't like that about me. Whereas I'm literally sharing it on my YouTube channel, and I'm cool with it. Now, I wasn't always cool with it. I remember, I have another story for you, right? I remember when I was like 19, I was calling on properties for my older brother. And I remember one of the agents called my brother, because I left his number. And she had said something along the lines of, hey, I spoke to her assistant, and she sounded really great over the phone. And then my brother goes, I don't have a female assistant. And she's like, no, I think I spoke to her. She was really nice over the phone. And I remember, like, obviously my brother had told me that. I didn't listen to it directly. And then pretty much for the next hour or so, I got made fun of, right, for that conversation. Now, back then, I really was insecure about, like, the way that I sounded, and obviously, like, at a 19-year-old guy, you don't want to be called ma'am over the phone and stuff like that. But, fast forward to today, I still get called ma'am, and it's okay, right? Now, why is it different, right? I'm still being called that by other people. So insecurities are really only because you perceive you should be treated or something should be a different way, right? If you're insecure about something, it's because you think that people won't respect you or like you, or it says something negatively about yourself. Whereas, you hear it all the time, like, just be confident and stuff like that, right? But I think what people miss is what happens if, like, I can be as confident as I want to be, I'm still going to get called ma'am over the phone, right? So when what you're doing, or, maybe just your voice, or maybe something you can't change, is something that is perceived as like a negative, how do you change that, right? How do you just be okay with that? Because a lot of times they give you the advice of, oh, just be confident, or just don't be so insecure about that. But what if it is something that you're either not good at doing, or, like in this case, something you can't change? Now, for me, the way I have learned to accept it is, before I used to internalize it as, oh man, I sound like a girl, it's terrible. Like, it was like a lot of negative thoughts. That's the way I kind of internalized it before. But now I see it more in a broad sense of, hey, this is a stranger calling, and the person sounds like a female over the phone, so I'm trying to be polite and address them by saying ma'am, right? Now, I do occasionally get the calls the car warranty calls and the stuff like that, right? Where I'll tell them, oh no, I'm a guy, and they say, okay, I'm so sorry about that. And 5 seconds later, they call me ma'am again because they don't actually care about the person they're speaking to, right? They're just trying to convert the sale. So I do get calls like that as well. So again, it was something that was a negative for me, and now I understand it's really not a negative, right? So I think that is the best way to really go about it, right? Because there may be things that you're insecure about, and you might not be able to change them, right? Because the things that you can change, it's fairly easy, right? If I am insecure at being at house parties, I can go to a bunch of house parties, and probably over time I'll be able to change that, right? I'll be able to become more comfortable, right? Or, if I'm in a business aspect, right, and I'm maybe uncomfortable talking business with people, right, the more I'm around business people and I understand, kind of the way they speak to each other, I'll be more comfortable with that. But this video is really more on like stuff that you really can't change, right? How do you become comfortable with that? How do you be okay with whatever it is you have or don't have, right, that you're insecure about? So obviously for me, like I said, the first step was to think of it from the other person's perspective, right? So for my example, right, having the voice. I don't feel like when people call me that over the phone, I don't feel like they're doing it in a rude, disrespectful way. So because I understand from their perspective they're not doing it in a rude way, I don't get upset at it. So whatever it is that you're maybe insecure about that you maybe can't change, try to think from the other person's perspective. Try to understand, like, is this person really judging you based off of it? There are some people that are probably going to hear my voice like, oh my God, like, he sounds like a girl, holy shit, like, da-da-da-da, right? And say some negative things, but that's okay, I can't really change that. And just like with maybe something that you're insecure about, there are going to be people that are going to judge you for it, right? And just being okay with the fact that if they want to judge, that's on them, that's not on you, right? And you just continue to live your life. Now, obviously, I wanted to put that in the video so you guys can see it, because it's a little different from me just saying, like, yeah, when I speak over the phone, I get called ma'am all the time, and you guys actually physically seeing it. I think it was something that is beneficial, so you guys could see that actually I do, have to deal with that. Essentially, it is something you just deal with it. Now, some insecurities can come, obviously, from different aspects of life, and it's really just about how you perceive them, right? So let's just say maybe, for example, a single mother with 3 kids may feel insecure that when she meets a nice guy, that the guy won't want to date her because she has 3 kids, right? So instead of thinking and viewing that as a negative, as like an insecurity, just say, hey, if a guy I meet doesn't want to date me because I have kids, that's his loss, right? I'm not asking him to take care of my kids, I have 3 kids. Right? And when you think from that perspective, as opposed to the other one, which is, oh man, like no one's going to want to date me because I have 3 kids and I'm a single mom, and I don't know if I'm going to ever meet a guy like that, right? So when you think that way, you have that negative insecurity about yourself, right? Which is really not an insecurity, right? Like you could think positively and say, yeah, I have 3 kids, which is fantastic, and I love my kids, and I want someone to be with me and with my kids too, right? So I kind of just wanted to speak on just the mental aspect of, insecurities and overcoming them, because that's the biggest portion is, in your mind, right? So there may be things out there, maybe as you're listening right now, you can think of 1 or 2 that you are insecure about, but you really can't change that. So becoming okay with it, it's a lot of work, right? You have to fully accept yourself for that thing, right? See, so like for my voice, right? I have to fully accept the fact that this is my voice. It is what it is. It doesn't say anything positive or negative about me. It's just the way my voice sounds, right? So I'm not going to get upset when somebody addresses me as ma'am, because they're not doing it in a disrespectful way, again. That's just they're addressing me based on what they think I am over the phone. But you can only get there once you accept that, hey, it really doesn't say anything negatively about you. A lot of times when we have these insecurities, we think on like a deeper level, it's because it says something negatively about us as people. You know, and it's funny, I was actually on the phone talking to a cell phone company for my mom, and I was sitting there with my sister and my mom, and the guy had called me ma'am like 3 times, and they were looking at each other like, why the fuck is he calling you ma'am? Like, what is going on? And I'm just like, oh no, I get this all the time. You know, and I get a lot of my, you know, friends and family members that say the same thing, like, well, you don't sound like a girl to me. And I think that's another big point too, right? So when I tell people that I sound like a girl, I think they think it's an insecurity, right? So they try to help me by saying, oh no, Vinny, you don't sound like a girl. I don't think you sound like a girl at all. Well, if you don't think I sound like a girl and they think I do, who's right and who's wrong, right? It's just their interpretation of how I sound. But because even for my friends and family, they don't think I sound like a girl. They think it's probably hurting my feelings by hearing ma'am over the phone, right? So they're trying to help me, right? But also that's like a deeper level. Like I feel like they are thinking from the aspect of if they were called the opposite sex, how would they feel, right? So that is also an insecurity, right? And I think a lot of people don't want to be called the opposite sex, right? And I think that a lot of times we try to justify it by saying, oh no, you don't sound like that. Oh no, you look great. Like, oh no, you look fantastic and all this. Like it doesn't really help the problem, right? It like masks it, right? It's like when someone tells you how they're feeling today and you say, oh, you look beautiful, you look gorgeous, right? It does the opposite effect because the person is feeling insecure about their looks. So when you tell them that they look beautiful, you are reinforcing the fact that looks matter, right? Like it's a deeper concept to understand. So I'll repeat it. If I say, oh man, I look like shit today, and you say, oh no, you look handsome, or if I'm a girl, you look gorgeous, you are not helping because what you're doing is you're reinforcing the fact that, so first off, if I am insecure about my looks, it's because I believe that looks matter, and because looks matter, I believe I don't look great. So when you tell me that I look good, that's just your opinion. But your opinion states that looks matter because you're telling someone that they look beautiful or they look handsome. So when you tell someone that looks matter, now they can internalize that if they're feeling negatively about themselves. They can now internalize it and say, yeah, so-and-so thinks I look good, but most people don't think I look good. Because you just reinforce that looks actually matter, right? Now, if you come from a place of, looks aren't as important, then if you don't look good, you don't even feel the need to say anything because you know that you don't look your best today, but it's fine. Like, it's not that big of a deal, right? And I think that's why I'm a little hesitant, giving people compliments on their looks because, looks don't matter that much. So I try not to, reinforce that with people. It's just something that you really have to think about, right? Why are you feeling insecure about whatever it is? And then try to think of if it's something that you can maybe say, look, does it really matter? Is it going to make me a good or bad person depending on this specific insecurity, right? Or if it's maybe like the one with the kids, right? Do you really want to date somebody that doesn't accept your kids as part of you, right? So just thinking and trying to frame it differently so you don't feel insecure about it, right? Again, that's the end of the video. Didn't want to make too long of a video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and thank you so much for watching it. If you liked it, definitely make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing all you guys in my next video. Thank you.